Why is COP important to business and financial services? So in simple terms, financial services finances the wider economy, and without sustainable finance, there won't be a sustainable future. It is estimated that between 78 trillion and 130 trillion of new investments are needed by 2050 in areas such as power generation and hydro production. Mainstream private finance will help companies adjust and realign their business models to net zero. And so what does COP26 bring us? Well, governments can reinforce efforts in the private sector by setting clear and credible climate policies. Public and blended finance have a vital role to play in the shift to a low carbon economy and a just transition for society. COP26 could also allow businesses to get an early insight into where regulation might be going, and so that they can work collaboratively with governments and policymakers. And so ultimately, the speed with which the new sustainable financial system develops will be decided by the ambition of governments' climate policies. This is the first time that industry will be profiled at a COP in such a significant way. And it's expected that financial services will have a relatively significant voice. The role of FS in an orderly and just transition to net zero is widely acknowledged. So what might some good outcomes look like for FS during this COP? I think there are actually three key points. The first one, a credible decarbonisation plan that galvanises action. The second one, real-world adaptation and financing a just transition. And third, but not least, greater mobilisation of capital, especially to emerging markets. And what do I mean by that? So when we talk about credible decarbonisation plans, what we're looking at is taking the net zero commitments and other decarbonisation commitments that businesses have made, making realistic assessments of where you are today in your financed emissions, setting a credible target and ambition, designing and implementing a credible strategy, and finally communicating what you are doing. So what do we mean by that? Probably setting 1 year, 5 year and 10-year targets, and then measuring and reporting against those targets. So that's one of the things that I really hope for from FS during COP. The two others, real world adaptation and financing a just transition. At the moment, FS is probably looking at too high a level in terms of transition pathways. And if we have greater collaboration between FS and the wider economy, what I'd like to see is FS having a better understanding of the risks and the opportunities at a much more granular level, enabling private finance to support whole economy transition to net zero. And finally, greater mobilisation of capital, especially to emerging markets. This is seen as a big area of issue at the moment. And I think product innovation and collaboration across border could help mobilise more capital from established financial services markets into emerging markets and into other green projects and green businesses.